Welcome to PVPN. I am your local realtor and host, Joe Alessi, and we are in the middle of December right now, and I've got Coach Gardner from the Palos Verdes SeaKing's football program. They had a phenomenal season this year. I also have Cole Spaniel and Jacob Reese to join us from the team. So let's sit down with these guys and talk about their season. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking with the SeaKing football team. I've got Coach Gardner here and of Jacob Reese and Cole Spaniel, both linebackers as well as fullbacks for the SeaKings. And today's going to be a little different. Normally we will be in the midst of a season when we meet with somebody, but however, this time the season's over and we've got these players and we're going to kind of dissect the season as best we can and try to create a time capsule for them, so looking back, they can reflect on this as they get older. But it was obviously a very interesting year for you. The first time ever that Coach Gardner has been there that you were undefeated going into the playoffs, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And that's a big feat because you play some solid teams in preseason. You're not just booking simple team. You want some good competition. So there were some teams like Corona Del Mar that, even when my guys were there, that had some great battles with, but you maybe came up short. So beating Corona Del Mar was a huge feat in itself, and so you had some really nice wins going into that. Obviously, things didn't end the way you wanted. We'll talk about that a little bit later, unfortunately. But take us back to the beginning of the season, right? You guys are, in summer camp and whatnot, and you got double days going. What would have been your goal at that time for this season? Is it the same every year for the team, or do you have a different goal set depending on what you're seeing?
It's probably similar in that we want to. I think these guys would admit. I think a goal is to win league. You try to win league, that would be great. And then we'd like to earn a spot in the playoffs and try to go as far as we can. Mm-hmm. That's the general goal. But then we quickly, as we always do, that's great, but then we just try to be the best team we can. And you start with that, like you said, those two-a-days and those practices, and that's really kind of our philosophy.
Yeah. So for you two, when you went into the season, obviously I'm assuming you've played there all 4 years, right? Did you have your positions set? Did you know, hey, I'm gonna be the starting line, or were you fighting for any jobs at that point when the season started?
Nothing's ever set in stone before a season. So me and Cole had both been able to start the last 2 years. This will be our third year starting at our position. And even though that is the case, nothing's ever set. So we had some good younger guys that are always pushing us to be as good as we can be.
Right.
And no matter what, it's still you're fighting every day to get your spot. So. Yeah.
And same position as the year before, though? Did you change at all, anything?
No.
Did you want to change anything? No, you were good to go?
No, we were good to go,
right.
Yeah.
And here's the beauty of the peninsula. So, I've lived here since 1975, and as we said, I went to Merlis High School, and I actually knew Cole's dad when he used to drive his green bug around. And then, of course, Jacob's grandmother, one of my first real estate deals I did was with your grandmother. So, Miss Odom there, beautiful, beautiful family, wonderful lady. So it's nice to have this history, the circle of life, as they say, that comes around. Joe Alessi, I am a broker associate with Remax Estate Properties. So the beauty of our industry is consumers have choices all over the place. What they don't know when it comes to real estate is what to really look for. So things that they should think about is looking for someone that will do the little things. I will lose a deal before I allow someone to do something that's not going to benefit them. I tend to become friends with many of the people I work with. This is not a one and done type of business. This is a lifelong relationship once it starts. So take us to practice, and then I want to talk about your coaching. I want you to touch on your coaching staff because I know that they put a lot of time in, and that's a huge part of the effort that goes forth for you as a coach. But take us through practice. What is it like to go to practice? They talk about maybe the summer, and then how does practice change for you guys as the year goes on? Give us a little flavor of what that's like if someone's not a football player.
During the summer, it's mostly getting down with the fundamentals and kind of knowing the plays and what you're doing and everything. And then once you get more into the season, it's where you get your pads, you get to start hitting each other and actually start getting to use what you've been practicing in the summer and just showing what you can do in real football, and not the summer where it's not like tackling or anything like that.
Right. And then how does it evolve maybe as the year goes on?
I mean, as the year goes on, you're kind of managing, I guess. You have a whole 10 weeks, hopefully more than that, depending on how you do. And it starts off with kids who have never really played before other than freshman football in the beginning of the year in the summer, and you have to teach them how to play, like Cole was saying. And then getting later in the year, it gets to the point where they have to know what they're doing, and it's up to the older guys and coaches to teach them, and then they have to know what they have to do as well as the older guys knowing what they have to do as well. And it kind of all comes together later in the year to where it's more of clockwork than a learning, and it's new game, new team every week.
Any good stories for us? Again, reflecting back on my own, I still remember to this day, guys that I was meeting for the first time. This is my freshman year, of course, but so you could talk about any year you want to. Again, this is a time capsule for you guys. So for me, I still remember to this day, I had a buddy, Ray Hoffer, who's now a friend to this day.
I remember Ray Hoffer.
Yeah.
In Pop Warner.
Okay. So at that time, I didn't know him from a bunch of the guys, right? But we're out there battling, just getting hammered all day long. Double days back then were brutal. And I remember the coaches were just grinding us and running us at the end. And it's like, okay, if this guy, Ray, could, because you have your name on your helmet, right? Because nobody knows anyone. All right, if Hoffer could beat me on this, then you guys, you're going to call it a day, right? So to this day, I still remember that very vividly. Is there anything that you guys recall, any funny story, anything that you'd want to reflect on about practice or leading into any season that you've had at PV High to this point?
I think you actually just kind of brought up one in my mind that I forget what week it was, but it was our sophomore year, so it was our first year playing on varsity. And I think we had a lineman one-on-one passing game, I guess. It wasn't necessarily a 7-on-7 where we had designated teams, but we just had the biggest guys go up and do one-on-one routes against each other. And it's funny because all you really doing during practice is practice. You're doing football. It's pretty regimented. We have to do what we have to do in the time that we have. So getting to do something like that was super refreshing. It was actually kind of hilarious because those big guys got up there and I think one actually mossed the other one and caught it on his head. It was a big thing. Nobody let the other guy forget it for the entire rest of the year.
Nice, good memories.
I would have to say the same season, sophomore year, going into our first game as sophomores on varsity at Mission Viejo, seeing how big of a school it was, and before the game, we walk out and you see the massive stands packed with people. It's super loud, a big difference from freshman football.
Right.
And yeah, you go to kick off and it's like, where am I? It's a total shock. You have no idea what's going on. And then both of us we got into that game. He played a little more, but we both got into that game. And
Is that Mission Hills?
Oh, Mission Hills. I said
Hills, yeah.
Mission Hills. Sorry.
Mission
Hills, and it's a total difference.
Tough game.
Yeah.
It went well for the first drive, but after that, didn't go so well for the rest.
Right. So let's give your coaching staff a little publicity because those guys work really hard. They're very dedicated. They're a good group of guys. So just, tell how many coaches you've got with you. Maybe just touch on, whatever you'd like to say about your staff because they're obviously been around for a while. I'm
going to forget a name if you make me go through all the names. No, I've got probably 8 to 10 on varsity, and then great freshman staff. Very blessed to have the staff we have. Most of them have, as I say, real jobs, right? So they're going to work, and then they're basically volunteering to do this job. And they come over in the time that, I know these guys probably think that the only thing they have going on is football, but they got real lives going on and real jobs and making money, because this public school coaching isn't where we're making our living. But they just love dedicating their time to these guys and seeing how well they can develop both on and off the field. So super blessed to have the staff that I have because it's not me. It's not about me. It's never about me. And these guys are doing the playing. We're just trying to point them in the right direction, teach them some stuff, but we thoroughly enjoy it too. And they teach us a lot of things too. But no doubt, great staff.
Yeah. So again, reflecting on my own seasons, Coach Small, who is still at Penn High, he is now, and I think he's now coaching the girls golf team of all things. But he coached me in baseball and football with Coach Kimbrell, who went over to Penn High as well when the schools closed down. And I still can remember Coach, like he was so intense back then. I mean, veins would be popping out of his neck, and things were a little bit different back then. There was a little bit more maybe hitting going on and stuff like that from coaches, more physical at that time, which you can't do these days. So, just some good memories. We still meet with them today. Like we'll play poker and things like that. So any coaches or any coaching memories that you have that stick out for you, or any particular coach that you had maybe a good bond with?
Maybe for me, well, I switched positions in the very end of the season. The last 2 games I played defensive end instead of linebacker just for need. One of our guys got hurt, and we had a really solid linebacking core that we had, and we just had one guy who was never going to be able to see the field just because of numbers. So we were trying to fill that position, and thankfully I was able to fill it. But Coach Davis taught me in just about a week to learn defensive end from linebacker. And even though I had been blitzing and I had been getting in there in the trenches a few times, it is definitely so much different of a environment. And learning just in that week to try to survive in there was definitely something that I definitely attribute to Coach Davis.
Yeah, nice. So preseason, you guys are 5-0 for the first time ever, I believe. Because again, we had some battles in the past. You good battles with Narbonne when they were a powerhouse, but just coming barely, with a loss in certain times. And so Corona Del Mar and Edison, you both won those games by 3 points. So close games, but you came out victorious. So maybe let's go to Corona Del Mar, since that was your only away game for the preseason, as far as I understand. Talk a little bit about maybe going into that game, what your mindset was, if there was anything that sticks out, what you had to maybe accomplish going into that game, and did things play out the way you had thought? Maybe just kind of reflect a little bit on that game. Any memories that come, forward from that?
We had never beaten them at their place, so that stood out. It's a good program, for sure. Going back a little bit on what you just said, because I don't want some guys from 2010 to get mad at me. I think, and I could be wrong here, I think we might have been 5-0 at some point in that year. Okay. I don't want Coach Davis getting mad at me, or Mark Sasso, or those guys that deserve those accolades. Yes. But I think we might have done pretty well on the in the non-league at that point, but never the 10-0. But anyway. But yeah, so that's, we've had a hard time going down there for all sorts of reasons. It's a good program, and then you're on the road, and so it was a good test.
Anything in the trenches that you guys recall from that game? Any good storylines or things that you maybe going into that game from watching film that you were like, hey, I got to really pay attention to this? Anything insight that you could give us?
What do you think?
Well, the last 2 years, actually the last 3 years, freshman year we lost 7-0, and that really sucked. And then sophomore year, it was something like 49-7 or something really bad. Junior year, we lost again, and then senior year, this was the time. There was no other time I was not going to get another chance. There was really nothing that we could leave out there that wasn't going to kind of impact what we thought on them and what they thought on us. And this was our year, just trying to make it all count, make it happen that year. So that was kind of the whole team consensus, and that's what we were trying to push on the team the entire week to try to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Was there a big play in that game you think maybe that was pivotal, that maybe turned the game around or iced it for you? Anything like that you? I
would say the long touchdown run by Hobbs Brennan was on the whole team. That really got everyone in a great mood. Yeah. Everyone was hyped up, fired up for that moment, just to see Hobbs go running like that, because that's a guy that's worked hard all season and totally deserved that for the team.
Huge momentum shift there. So one thing I'd love to talk about is again for a good memory. Bus rides home.
Oh yeah.
You know, they were always a blast, right? Coming from, especially when you win.
Definitely.
And you guys won all year long, so any bus ride you had, other than, of course, the last game, you were winning. So give us a little flavor for what it's like to be on the bus ride home. If, because any songs that you guys do, like, kind of
What's her name?
give us a little
The girl
taste
we
of what
sing.
happens,
I'll start and let you guys explain it. But I've always enjoyed the bus rides, especially when you do well. Coming back from Corona del Mar, I didn't realize how big of fans our team was to Adele. And they're going to mention it right now. I'll just keep it like that, but I may have taped some of that too, but I'll let them explain that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you got it.
Yeah, well, Coach Gardner just said we played a lot of Adele on the way home. Personally, I thought it's kind of funny because she's not as exciting as you would think after winning a huge game like that. But I mean, that was kind of the team artist, I guess, for the bus ride homes this year on wins. It was just funny.
So how did that come to be? I mean, it's just a random one day someone throws it on, or is it like you're out partying during the week and someone's throwing Adele and it became an inside joke? How does that even happen? Because you think more like a rap song with you guys, or some rock song.
That's what you'd think.
Right?
Yeah, it's not really the music you'd expect us to play,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure whoever was on aux
Eric.
just put one of her songs on, and everyone was into it. So we just kept going with that genre of music.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the theme for the rest of the year, like before practice,
Yeah,
all the
we
bus rides
definitely-
home.
Definitely show
Just
us in the locker
Adele, everything, every game.
Beautiful. So you guys you don't sing it yourselves?
No,
they sang it.
Everyone gets into it.
Meaning all by yourself? You have it playing in the background, you're singing
And then
to it?
the whole,
Right.
everyone's singing. Yeah.
Are there any songs that you sing that are more, kind of little...
There's always the pregame or hype up songs, if that's what you're mentioning. Those are definitely, we also play those, but we're just talking about like on the bus rides, and our feel good music was always Adele this year. But yeah, we definitely have our rap, our rock, or anything we need for pregame or something like that if we want to switch up the vibe of everything. But Adele was kind of our standout artist this year for
all right.
locker room and bus.
Nice. Well, maybe, 15, 20 years from now, you guys will all get together and do an Adele, tribute concert one day and hang out.
Kind of a shout out to Coach Morris for the music selection and pre-games on the field.
Yeah.
He did
our
really
warm-ups
well.
this year. That changed, and I actually got used to it. And then we'd go to other places, and they wouldn't have as well. It's our opinion.
Yeah.
Didn't quite have the music that we liked. It was a little edgy, and anyway, so Coach Morris, I think you guys
And
enjoyed
practice,
that.
too.
I think, and practice.
We got
So
to do a few practices.
that was new. So
Nice.
the old coach
we never
actually
got
was
that
into
in
it.
our day,
so.
right? No music during our day.
No, not at all.
That
So,
happened.
but they asked me if it was okay, and we did it, and I was like, okay, I got kind of used to it.
Yeah. No, it creates a nice energy and a vibe sometimes. So,
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so going into league, obviously you guys, you're the powerhouse in league, but regardless of that, you're still, El Segundo, Maricosta, Redondo, and they're all games that are crucial games. You guys know each other very well. You had a scary game with Maricosta, and I know there was a lot of ref things going on there that maybe kept that game closer than you wanted to, but you did come away with a win there. And then, when I spent some time with you during the week, was leading up to the Culver City game, which was going to decide the Bay League. You guys were both undefeated at that time, and it was a huge game. So kind of give us a little feel for that game. You did win it by 3 points. There was lead changing back and forth. You guys, opened the game with them scoring on you on a long play. So you're down pretty quickly. You come back, leads change a couple times. Same thing with coming out of halftime. They came back and roared back and took the lead again. So the lead was going back and forth. And in the end, you came out victorious, which was phenomenal. But give us a little sense of going into that game, because even at practice, it's great to be undefeated, but there's maybe a different challenge with being undefeated, right? Maybe you guys get a little bit more lackadaisical. Back in the day, the coach used to say, stop reading your press clippings, right? When the Daily Breeze would come out, you'd be in film and everyone's reading the paper, and coaches are getting upset. So what was the challenge maybe for you as a coach, being that, they hadn't lost a game all year? Even at practice, I was watching you were, there was a couple of times where you had to make the whole team drop and do the up downs, just to kind of keep them focused. kind of bring us up to that week of practice, maybe the film that you were watching, what you were concerned about for that game, and just kind of highlight some of those.
I don't know for me if it was so much that we were undefeated, as we knew it was going to be a tough game. We really do try to, just focus on the task at hand, and every team in our league poses a huge challenge for us. So, you mentioned league power. I don't know if we look at it that way. I think you have to go prove that. You could say that all you want or think that, but you got to go prove that. So that's what we know that was an important game. But I think we think every and I hear what you're saying. Can you get a little lackadaisical because you're undefeated? I think we had some pretty close games, and you mentioned the Maricosta game, and yeah, we were pretty fortunate there, obviously, at the end of that game. But I think that kind of provides that lesson already for us. That felt like a loss to us. So I don't think, and they can tell you, but I didn't feel like we were looking past anything or thought something was just going to happen because of our record. I think we ran into some situations and we were winning games by 3 points or by 2 points or something like that. And I think teams that are kind of on a mission have to go through those things. So I wasn't so concerned about that. We knew Culver City was going to give us everything they got, and it's going to be a hard game. Yeah, that's kind of.
And that proved to be.
Yeah, and all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, guys, take us back. You guys are in the trenches. Let us know what it was like. Maybe again, film. Talk about a little bit about film too in general, and the film maybe going into that week. What were the coaches telling you guys to, maybe be on alert for? Maybe some changes that you had to do to deal with a particular scheme that they had or a player that they had that does a certain thing.
Well, I'd just like to say that in all throughout the year, Coach Gardner has been instilling our one play at a time mentality, one game, one everything at a time. So there really isn't a single game that's more important than any other game. So our first game of the year, our game against Peninsula, or our game against Mission Viejo, it's all the exact same of how we prepare and how we have to execute. But going against these teams where we know this could be where maybe we lose or maybe we keep our record depending on how it ends out is definitely something that stacks more on you mentally. You need this, but preparing is the same. Defense, it changes week by week depending on how their offense runs, if it's more run heavy or pass heavy. But offense is just, it's our stuff. We need to do our stuff. If we penalize ourselves, it's against us. If we're playing correctly, then everything will work out. Really same with the whole team. We have to do our stuff. Like Coach Gardner always says, one play at a time. You have to make sure you're doing your job, everyone else doing their job, and everything will work out.
So maybe, Colt, if you could touch on maybe the film. You remember going through film, maybe the week leading up to that. So when you get film on Culver, Coach, maybe you can kind of touch on that. You got the film. Do you as a coach sit down and look at it first with the staff, and then you go through it with the players? And does that happen on the weekend?
Usually that's how it happens, yeah, on the weekend.
So you'll sit down with the players on a Saturday or Sunday?
No, well, we'll sit down. Usually on the Saturdays, we're going to review the game that we just played from Friday. And then if we know a little bit about that team in advance, then we might say something, but we don't usually hit them too much with film on the weekend of it's usually pretty heavy dose on Monday, Tuesday. We tell them, with Huddle these days, so that's their homework also, right?
Oh, so they can on their own. You guys on your own are going home and just sitting on your laptops, checking out some stuff?
Right,
okay.
Right. And then as coaches, we'll get that going on Monday and Tuesday also as a team or in groups, watch that same film.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have some homework for them too, come up with their 3 or 4 favorite looks or run plays or pass plays or something like that.
Scouting reports.
Scouting reports, yeah.
That's pretty cool. We didn't have that back in the day to be able to look at plays and maybe sit down with them and go back and forth on the side. How helpful is that for you guys to be able to do that?
It's extremely helpful knowing who you're going against, what they do, what they like to do, their tendencies. Because it's like going into a boxing match. If you don't know what your opponent's going to do, they could, just hit you and you'll have no idea. But having our film and kind of seeing what our opponent will do kind of prepares us or tells us what to look out for. So it just better prepares us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking at a team like Culver City, you know, there's not a lot of weaknesses there. So you're looking at that and you're going, oh wow, that guy, this guy, and so yeah, it's a handful.
So any memories from that game that you'd want to reflect on? Any big plays? Anything maybe you just one-on-one with whoever you had to be battling with all day long? Anything being said between you and the other guys? Anything like that?
I just say that I wasn't able to practice that week for most of the week because the game before I twisted my knee pretty good. And getting in the game, I wasn't allowed to play offense for most of the time just to save myself. But getting in on offense, I knew I was going to make a difference and going out there. And I think I had something like 3 pancake blocks in like 4 plays. And it was just kind of it was a meaningful drive to me that I was in, that I had to go and show that I was still good, still fine and ready to play whoever it was.
Okay. All right, good. So here we are. So you win the Bay League. You're now 10-0, and you don't know who you're going to play, right? You go into it. The season's done. You have to then wait for the call, I guess, that you're getting from somebody. And you had mentioned earlier that, Coach, you've been on the CIF committees. Are you still on the CIF committee?
No, I wasn't on a committee. I ran one of the All CIF selections, individual awards at the end.
Oh, okay.
But I've never been on the committee to
Okay.
select what division anybody goes in.
who's doing that? Do you know who the people are? Is it like a handful of people that are doing this?
It's CIF, and as far as I know, it's CIF, and it's also it's a real dependency on CalPrep's ranking systems, and I cannot begin to tell you how that works.
Okay.
The algorithm that they use to rank teams.
Okay.
I'm not totally against it. I just don't understand it.
Right.
So.
And again, you're never going to use it as an excuse as to why you didn't beat Mission Viejo, but you were slotted against Mission Viejo in Division II for the first time ever in that division, which is obviously, there's only one division higher than that, Division I. And again, these tend to be private schools. They tend to be, not all the time, but they tend to be schools that have so many players that they recruit that they have a dedicated offense, dedicated defense, right? Whereas, typically our schools locally here, guys are going both ways. You guys are playing offensive defense if you guys are the starters for the most part. How did you feel once you got slotted in Division II in general? Just tell us how that kind of went down and what you then were thinking, okay, what's going to happen here and what do we got to do?
Me or them?
Yeah, you.
You're right. There's nothing. We have no control over any of this, right? And so we figured as a staff that, seeing how we were, I don't really look at it too much, and plus I probably just don't understand it, but where we were ranked the whole year and then at the end of the year, so there was a good possibility that we would be in Division II. The year before we were in Division III, and that I think was the highest that we'd been at before. And then, but it depended on how many teams CIF selected in Division I. And then I think they took 12, and then they just go the next 16 out of that. So 2 years in a row, we've been kind of on the bottom end of the bracket of the 16 teams in a pretty decent division. There's nothing you can really do. I think what really hit me was when you're watching film, and we know this is a traditionally great program, and this is going to be a big challenge for us, and we're kind of excited too.
Right.
Certainly not overconfident or anything like that, but
No.
we're going to go down there and play as hard as we can. But as a coach, I'm watching that film, and there's not a lot of weaknesses on that film. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow, we're going to have to play one heck of a game, and everything's going to have to kind of go right to give us a shot here. And that's what we did. I think it would have been nice, you go 10-0 and whatever. It would have been nice to host a first round game, which that's the biggest question I have with this whole system is how do you get to do that? I thought we did pretty well to at least host a game.
Right.
But anyway, it was actually an okay trip, and obviously they're a good program. And these guys played. They played their hearts out. They gave it everything they got, and we went down there and I know it didn't turn out the way we wanted, but man, I'm really proud of these guys.
Right. So obviously, you guys, you go into that game knowing it's going to be a tough game. right? But obviously, like Coach said, you're going to put everything out on the field, and you're going to let them know that they're playing PV in the end, right? So give us a little taste of what was going on in your minds personally, and maybe for the team. Talk about the team, some of your other players, what you guys were maybe thinking about, how you felt going into that game.
Our team was, most of our team, I mean, not all, all of our team was hyped to go into the game. It was a great opportunity to go against a big school like that has maybe some of the higher level guys or get some looks, and give our team and our school, our program, everything the looks and respect it deserves. And we wanted to go out there and just show what our program could do and what we were made of, and just show what our whole team was about.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I think our team, as well as Coach Gardner, we realized that we earned the spot that we were in. We played, we went 10-0. This is what we have to do now, is go into that good division with good teams that we're also good. So it was kind of just a general consensus that we're going to go and we're going to play. We're going to do whatever we can to win. This is what we prepared for. This is what we've done for us, the last 3 years, for this team, this last whole year. And it kind of, for a moment, it hit us. We're like, wow, we're really playing now. We're really going to be playing these good teams in this division. But then after that, it was just like, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah. So halftime, right? You guys, you obviously got a really good feel for them now. Looking back now, what do you think was the real difference in that team compared to all the other teams you played up to that point? I mean, are they running schemes you've never seen before, outside of just having, of course, dedicated offense and defense? Are they doing anything that, like, wow, we've never seen this, and this is, something that had we known, or had you dealt with it before, maybe you would feel better? I mean, really, what is the difference? Because they're guys just like you, right? Were they a lot bigger? Were they a lot faster? What were they doing? What do you think was the huge difference, telling the guys that maybe next year for your team they get slotted against a good team? Like, what do they need to be prepared for? Like, what was the real difference there?
I'd say that they didn't make a lot of mistakes. So, I mean, of course their guys were good, their coaches were good, their program was amazing. It's everything you could want for a program, but they didn't make a whole lot of mistakes, and that also helped them a lot. But I would say that even though their guys were good, even though their schemes and everything you were saying they were all set with all that, we were still able to keep up with them for most of the whole game. We were still fighting till the very end, and like I was saying, their guys they're really good, but they just didn't make mistakes. So that was kind of the end of it.
Yeah. There's some guys today that are playing in the NFL that my son Dean played against back in 2013. So there's a lot of great players out here in the South Bay, in Orange County, LA County. There's a lot of really good football players, and you guys have played against probably some that will go on to college. Maybe yourselves are going on, or some other guys from your team. So you'll see these guys popping up. You get to watch them on Saturday and Sunday. But is there anything for you two in particular? Are you hoping to play some ball outside of high school?
I'm not closing it down. I'm hoping to play maybe a walk-on somewhere, but I'm not giving up on the dream of playing. So,
cool.
Maybe.
Cool.
I've kind of my high school football was amazing and everything, and I'd love to play, but I don't know. It's hard, and if you're not 100% committed to it, you should never And I don't want to go and not love it, so it's. We'll see, but.
Yeah, I had a buddy, Jim Mahoney, who went to Loyola, and he played rugby. So sometimes you end up getting, just those competitive juices. You still have them, and you need to let them out somehow. There's other avenues to do that. Anything else that maybe gets you excited? A different sport? Anything for you guys that maybe you're looking at?
I mean, we're both. I just got called to play lacrosse this year.
Okay.
I'm also the captain of the lacrosse team at our school, so that's something I started sophomore year. First time I ever played it, and I just started loving it. It's super physical, just like football. That's something I kind of found in myself that I enjoy is the physicality of sports. So I love lacrosse. I don't know if I love it as much as football, but it's still something I really enjoy playing, and I'm glad I dragged Cole into it this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
First season for you?
Yeah, this is my first, actually my first couple of weeks joining the team. It's great. You know, after football season, you miss all the contact and hitting and everything. And lacrosse is one of the few sports where you can do the same, not the same, but close to it with legal violence. And yeah, I don't know. I've had a great time so far, and the sports, you know, like football, it's like a family, and that's like after the season, that's what you miss most. Like just being with the guys on your team. It's kind of like what am I gonna do now? So it's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Cool.
Coach Neal on our team also has called us the Hanson brothers for lacrosse. So just for that idea of kind of how we're playing.
I guess that's better than Milli Vanilli, Hanson Brothers. But anything you want to put a punctuation mark on this conversation?
Yeah, just this team. Just really proud of this team. These guys, the senior group, and not just the senior group, the entire team. But these guys, when they were sophomores, and there's a good number of them, I think we've got about 20 seniors that we're going to be losing here. They got thrown in the fire pretty good when they were sophomores against some of the same teams we're still playing. And through necessity, we had to get them out there, and they had to grow up quick. And we were on the other side of some pretty bad scores their sophomore year. I mean, bad scores. And you know, their sophomore year is a little different than this year. I don't know what our record was going into league, but I think it was maybe 1-4 heading into league, and we had been beaten, you know,
Pretty
running
bad.
clocks several times, maybe 3 in a row. And then they just kept playing. They just kept playing. And then we went undefeated in league that year. And so it was, you know, looking back, though we always stay in the moment, but maybe it's not that surprising that these guys went 10-0. You know, looking back at that, that's not what we think when we're in it, and you never know you're going to do it. But maybe time will, you know, I'll look back and go, well, yeah, look at that group. That was a special group, and not just the seniors, the whole team, from our freshmen all the way up to our seniors. These guys, it was a family, and that's why, you know, you lose that first round. That's what hurts the most. Yeah, that's what hurts the most, because you're done. You're not going to be with those guys anymore, and you're just abruptly done, and that takes a while. It takes a while.
Right. Well, would you guys like to lead us out with maybe an Adele chorus? Is there any? Is there any? There's no Adele. Thank you so much for coming in. You know, it's your second time in. You know, I really appreciate that. And when I came to actually watch you guys at practice, you called me Coach Alessi. So
That's right.
that made me feel good. So, but you know, I love the program. I love the sports on the whole peninsula. You know, growing up here and seeing my kids go through it. So thank you for the job that you do, and for coming here today to do these things with me. You know, as I stay in the community as a realtor here. And guys, again, congrats on a wonderful year. Great memories for you. Hold them close to you. You know, keep those relationships close as you go on. Good luck in your careers as you go into college and beyond that. And you know, you'll find some sport, which might be pickleball, might be golf, some down the road that you'll be doing.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good luck with all of that.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and thank you for tuning in today. Have a wonderful holiday season. If you enjoyed the program, please subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in 2024.